My brother was 6 years old when he first tried to bite a chunk out of Dad's wrists, all because Dad said no to the candy bar he wanted. This wasn't his first meltdown either. He was diagnosed with conduct disorder at 4 years old, so for his entire childhood, my parents always gave him whatever he wanted, just so he wouldn't be violent. They let him pick every single family meal, movie night, and vacation spot. Everything was exactly his way. It was strange watching my parents be scared of a 9-year-old boy, but that's how we lived for years. Then they decided to finally stand up to him when he was 13. My brother said he had to have a $1,200 gaming computer, not because he liked video games, but because his friend got one. My mom explained they couldn't afford it, so he took her grandmother's quilt and ripped it apart with his bare hands. My mom was crushed, but instead of giving in, she stayed strong. That's when my brother changed his plan. He looked my dad straight in the face and said if they didn't buy him what he wanted, he'd tell his teacher they hit him. My parents went white. The next 7 months were hell. My parents tried to keep him happy without giving in all the time. They'd buy him some stuff, but not everything. Of course, it wasn't enough for him. He finally made good on his threat when our parents took us camping at a not-alike campground than the one he wanted. I remember coming home 3 weeks later to find a social worker in our kitchen, taking pictures of our medicine cabinet and first aid kit. My brother sat on the sofa with fake bruises drawn on his arms while the worker asked questions. The case lasted 3 weeks. The worker found costly gaming gear in my brother's room and saw how he kept changing his story about when he said he was hurt. The case was closed with a note that said his story kept changing, but the damage was already done. This all built up to my birthday morning this past year. I had asked my parents for new headphones since mine were broken and barely worked. My brother told our parents to blow his mind and nothing else, and so they did. When my birthday morning came, I opened a pair of Beats headphones plus a few small things like candy and a wallet, but then it was my brother's turn. He got a designer watch, Nike shoes, the gaming chair he'd been talking about for months, and even a fancy drawing tablet. Yet each time he opened something, he'd snort and throw it aside like it was junk. After all the gifts were opened, he didn't even say thanks. He just went to his room and came back 30 minutes later with his phone calculator open. He'd looked up every single price and added them up. Then he looked up my headphones price. His total was $90 less than mine. He stood there screaming about how this was proof he was the forgotten kid in this family, and I was the favorite child who always gets everything. He had the guts to go into the dining room while Dad was making birthday breakfast. He tried to grab the credit card out of Dad's wallet to buy $90 worth of stuff online to make it even. My parents, who by this point were fully done with him, told him no. Dad told my brother he wasn't getting any money and there would be trouble if he tried. Well, my brother's face went bright red. He yelled that his presents were mainly garbage that he didn't want anyway. Before anyone could stop him, he grabbed my new headphones off the kitchen counter and smashed them against the floor like a hammer. Pieces flew everywhere. The room went quiet. My mom stood up, not fast. She's a small woman and a former police officer who never loses her cool. When she shouted his name, I swear the windows rattled. It was the first time I ever saw him scared of getting in trouble. He ran to his room and locked the door. I picked up the pieces of my headphones, almost crying, while my parents began talking quietly in the dining room. About an hour later, they came out with serious looks on their faces. They went to where my brother's presents were still scattered on the kitchen floor and started picking them up. I asked them what they were doing, and they said what they should have done years ago. Before I even knew what was happening, they were posting all of the items on Craigslist. Within 4 hours, everything was sold. The watch went right away. Someone drove 2 hours for the shoes. They'd made back every dollar plus some extra. My brother was still in his room, so they called him out. He came out holding a baseball bat, which my mom made him drop by grabbing his wrist and taking it. This happened in the hallway, meaning he was already mad. And that's when he walked into the kitchen. He saw that his presents were gone, and there was a pile of cash on the counter. But there was also one more thing. A website on the laptop screen. Wilderness Program for Troubled Teens. What the hell is Shut Up and Listen? Mom cut him off. This is where you'll be going for the next 4 months starting next week. My brother's face went gray, and this pile of cash on the counter is to replace the headphones you broke. Now pick it up, hand it to your sister. Get upstairs and don't come down until you're called. Brother stared at the pile of cash, then at the laptop screen, then back at Mom. His hands were shaking, but not from fear anymore. Something else flickered across his face. Something I'd never seen before. Calculation. He picked up the money, slowly counting each bill. $240. He walked over to me, held it out, but when I reached for it, he let the bills scatter across the floor. Oops, he said flatly. Dad moved toward him, but Mom held up her hand. She was watching Brother carefully like she used to watch Suspects. Brother bent down, gathered the money again, and this time actually handed it to me. But as he turned to go upstairs, he said something under his breath that made my blood run cold. Phase 2. It is. I counted the cash with trembling fingers, while Brother's footsteps echoed up the stairs. Through the ceiling, we heard his door slam, then the scraping of furniture being moved. Mom pulled out her phone and started recording. What are you doing? Dad asked. Getting ready? She said. Hez going to threaten to hurt himself. It's the next move in his playbook. Sure enough, 5 minutes later, Brother appeared at the top of the stairs. He'll hurt myself and blame you, he announced loud enough for the phone to pick up clearly. He'll tell them you drove me to it. Mom held up her phone showing him the recording light. Already documenting everything, sweetheart. We've been preparing for this conversation. His face twisted with rage. He grabbed a glass from the hallway table and hurled it at the wall. It exploded in a shower of shards. I threw my arms up to shield my face, but not fast enough. A piece sliced across my forearm, leaving a thin red line that immediately started bleeding. Brother's eyes widened. That wasn't supposed to happen. He'd meant to scare us, not actually hurt anyone. But there I was, blood dripping onto the kitchen floor, actual evidence of his violence. You orchestrated this, he said, pointing at me. His voice was eerily calm now. The headphones. You knew it'd react. You set me up. I opened my mouth to deny it, but the words stuck in my throat because maybe I had hoped something like this would happen. Not the injury, but the final straw that would make my parents act. They noticed my hesitation. Go clean that cut, Mom said quietly. Your father will help you. While Dad helped me bandage my arm in the bathroom, we heard Mom's voice steady and firm. 1 hour. Pack what you need for 4 months. Your father will sit outside your door. You can't do this. Brother screamed. He'll call CPS. He'll tell them everything. Go ahead, Mom replied. We have documentation of everything, including what just happened. Dad finished wrapping my arm and positioned himself in the hallway outside Brother's room. Through the door crack, I saw Brother hunched over his phone, texting frantically. Then he made a call, speaking in whispers. All I caught was phase 2 again, and something about backup plan. 20 minutes into his packing time, our doorbell rang. It was our cousin Jake, my aunt's son, who lived across town. He was 17, 2 years older than Brother, and they'd always been close. My mom sent me, Jake said, looking concerned. She heard screaming on the phone when she called earlier, said it sounded like someone was being hurt. Of course, Brother had called our aunt while Mom was on the phone with her, making sure she heard his yells in the background. Mom explained the situation calmly, showing Jake the Wilderness Program website, explaining about the broken headphones and the years of manipulation. But while they talked, I noticed something. Brother's window was open, the one that led onto the roof. Hez outside, I said, pointing. Sure enough, Brother had climbed out onto the roof just like he'd done during past meltdowns. He sat on the edge, legs dangling, playing the victim for any neighbors who might be watching. It took 40 minutes of coaxing to get him down. Dad had to climb out after him, while Mom called the Wilderness Program to warn them about escape risks. When Brother finally came back inside, he walked past me and whispered, "You'll regret this." The transport team arrived right on time. 2 counselors trained in de-escalation, a man and a woman, both calm and professional. Brother's entire demeanor shifted. Suddenly he was cooperative, charming, even shaking their hands and introducing himself politely. While my parents filled out paperwork in the dining room, I slipped into Brother's room. Hed left it a mess, clothes everywhere, drawers pulled out. But on his desk I found something that made my stomach drop. Sticky notes, dozens of them with names written in his neat handwriting. Mom, Dad, me, Grandma, Aunt Sarah, Jake. Under each name were bullet points, pressure points. He'd labeled them. Under Mom, guilt about working late during elementary school. Grandma's quilt, fear of being bad mother. Under Dad, drinking problem in college, laid off twice, hates disappointing people. Under me, jealous of attention I get, wants parents' approval. Broke her laptop accidentally. She suspects he'd been studying us like lab rats, documenting our weaknesses. I grabbed the notes and brought them to Mom. Her face went pale as she read them. Hez been planning this for years, she whispered. As the counselors led Brother to their van, he made sure to speak loudly enough for the neighbors to hear. I forgive you for making Mom and Dad send me away. He called to me, his voice dripping with false sincerity. I know you didn't mean to turn them against me. Mrs. Chen from next door was watering her plants. She looked over with concern. Brother gave her a sad wave, playing the part perfectly. The van pulled away, and for a moment we all just stood there in the driveway. 4 months. We had 4 months of peace ahead of us, or so we thought. 3 days later, Jake posted on social media a long emotional post about how his cousin had been sent away for having mental health issues and how some families just can't handle kids who are different. He tagged our entire extended family. My phone buzzed with messages immediately. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't talked to in years, all asking variations of the same question. Why Why couldn't you just get along with him? Someone had dug up old Christmas photos, the ones where brother and I looked happy together, and shared them in the comments. They used to be so close when Aunt wrote, "What happened?" Mom discovered the extent of the damage when she